I don't know how to... We're getting the Asia Circuit arc next episode. I mean, obviously it's not... Like, we're not... Like, the actual tournament itself isn't starting next episode, but we're getting the Asia Circuit arc. And... Okay. I remember hearing something about the manga combining the first arc and the Asia Circuit arc together to make one kind of tighter and more focused arc. And so it looks like that's probably going to be what they're doing here too. If that's the case, that's interesting, because from what I remember, the main thrust and the most interesting part of the Asia Circuit arc was that Takuto comes and switches out Aichi's deck, and it doesn't look like they're going to be doing that this time. So what's the point in calling it the Asia Circuit arc if we're not getting that, you know? Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll talk more about the Asia Circuit arc itself later, when we get more information about it. But, yeah, also, I don't think it's going to be very long until I start skipping around in terms of episodes and stuff. We will be getting more, like, Vanguard content, and I will be talking about every episode. It's just soon I'll start combining them together. So, get ready for that. No one's allowed to complain, okay? But yeah, anyway, this was a great episode. I really, really liked this episode. This might be the best one so far, just because of everything that it does. So, this episode was kind of like the closure to the first, like, set of episodes. Like, this was kind of like Aichi's beginning character arc. And so, this episode had to add a lot of closure to everything. And I know that, you know, like, not everything's actually getting closure. Of course, Aichi still has a long way to go, and all that kind of thing. But this is, like, the beginning, like, Aichi getting over his Blaster Blade being taken, finally confronting Morikawa, all that stuff. And I really, really liked how they handled a lot of this. Because the way they were setting it up, it made it look like it was going to be a really kind of serious and heavy-toned, like, two-parter card fight or whatever. But they used the subversion of expectation to their advantage. So, last episode, I complained that the card fight was too short. But again, this time I think the shorter card fight fit. Yeah. Because this time, Aichi beating Morikawa so quickly was a really good subversion of expectations. Because it did feel, whilst I did like that they were building up Morikawa as like a serious threat early on already, I knew for a fact that Morikawa was going to turn back into his old comedic grade 3 self again. And so I thought it was a little bit jarring. Like, I was interested to see how they were going to handle that character switch. And this episode kind of handled it perfectly. Because, yeah, Morikawa isn't very good at Vanguard. He isn't. The first episode makes it look like he's good. But see, the thing is, they never actually show you that he's good, really. Like, at the beginning of the first episode, they go, oh, he's like the best person in the card shop. But, I mean, again, if you pay attention, at that point, he is, like, the only one that hangs around the card shop anyway, really. Other than, like, a couple of nameless characters that we don't care about. You know, but then the second Kai enters, he gets beaten by Kai, he gets beaten by Miwa, you know, like, he escapes to the school and everything. Like, he isn't a very good card fighter. Kai critiques him and everything and says, yeah, you're not very good at all, mate. And so, this episode used that to its advantage, and was like, yeah, no, he really isn't very good. And that's why Aichi manages to beat him so quickly. And I really like that Morikawa uses the Royal Paladin deck here, because that was really cool. Because, of course, in the original series, he uses the Blaster Blade against Kai, and it's like, what? You need a deck that, like, it's encouraged that you use a deck that only uses one clan. So does that mean he has an entire Royal Paladin deck? And, yeah, he does. Okay, cool. It's very much It's told to us that he put that deck together at last second out of a bunch of like spare cards and stuff he had from the booster box that he opened in the first episode, which I really liked. And yeah, Morikawa's really shit. He put no thought into building his deck. He built it really quickly, and he still kept using it even after he lost like the best card in that deck. So of course he was gonna lose. There was no point in drawing it out. In what universe would he have won? Like, yeah, Aichi's still a beginner, but like, come on. Like, if anything, this episode would have fit Kai's whole, oh, he won because he built the deck as a kid speech way more, you know? Of course, Kai wasn't here, but you know what I mean. Yeah, this was a really good episode. There's not much to really say about the card fight itself other than that. The fight was very quick-paced, but again, this time they used it to their advantage. To kind of just show how much of a joke Morikawa is. But the setup to the card fight was really interesting. Because again, I was expecting this to be like a whole, like, oh, Morikawa gets angry and challenges him. And now Aichi has the chance to redeem himself. And that kind of happens, but the way it's presented to us is really different to how I was expecting. Because basically, Aichi is, I guess, the most wholesome, like, he's been Flanderized like a lot in this series, which is a trend I'm noticing, because first it was with Miwa, then it was with Misaki, and now it's with Aichi, where all the characters are having like their most noticeable character traits like exaggerated, like tenfold, and we'll see how that works in the long run. Because again, I like it with Miwa, and I quite liked it with Misaki, but Aichi like was already a perfect character. So I don't see the point in changing him that much. Then again, this is a remake, so why make the remake if you're not going to change the main character at all? But, you know, like in the original, it took Aichi a lot longer to come out of his shell and everything. Like, in the original, what made Aichi such a compelling character is that him being shy was like a crippling weakness to him. Like, it was an extremely big flaw, and whilst the card game helped him with that, it didn't get rid of it ever at any point. Like even during like Link Joker, when he was like amazing at the card game, and like every other character looked up to him and revered him, he still acted shy around them, which is what made Aichi my favorite character, because that's such an interesting dynamic. To have such a powerful and revered character still be really shy and treat everyone around him as his equal. And I really, really like that dynamic, and I really like the way it's presented. And so for them to already exaggerate Aichi's character so much, and for them to already develop him this much, is a little bit worrying. Now, it's too soon to say, because of course he's obviously still shy and everything, but they're already presenting it as if him being shy is his biggest strength rather than a weakness. Because it means that he is acting more open with people and everything. And again, the original did that too, but I feel like he's progressing a little too quick. Again, in the original he felt really human, because it took him like 100 episodes to even get to the point where he could like speak in class. And now he's already joining a card fight club, which I think is a really interesting parallel, because the whole card fight club stuff reminded me exactly of Link Joker. Yeah. So, I'm kind of worried as to where they're going to take Aichi. I trust him a little, but again, Aichi is my favorite character, and I feel like the thing that made him my favorite character was the subtlety to him. And, like, the fact that, you know, he was a really complex character, whereas characters like this can tend to be like really over the top and obnoxious and not really have much like development or subtlety to them. Like even the better card game protagonists fall under this too. So what made Aichi so refreshing is that he acted completely different to any of them. And again, like in most other anime, him being shy would be like a big arc or whatever, but by the end of the anime, he wouldn't be shy anymore. Whereas Aichi was still always shy, like, even up till the end of Z, he was still pretty shy. Like, he got rid of most of it by then, but, like, he was still really shy. So, for him, again, to be progressing this quickly in 5 episodes, and again, they're focusing on it, they are doing the whole, like, you know, Morikawa points out, like, during the card fight, this is unlike anything I've seen from Aichi before, like, he is acting like a completely different person. And they do focus on that in the original too, where it's like, oh, when he is actually card fighting, it does put him into a different mental state because he's so focused on the card game itself that he forgets about being shy. Like, that's the kind of dynamic. You know, one of the reasons Aichi plays is because it helps get him out of his comfort zone and socializing with people, but the card game itself is so focused on strategy that he is focusing on that strategy and just forgets to be shy. But again, outside of card fights, he still acts shy a lot of the time. So, I know I'm probably being worried over nothing, but it seems like things are progressing too fast still. We'll have to see, because again, the Asia Circuit is like a worldwide tournament, right? And that doesn't make sense for, I mean, again, they're probably going to still be going through, like, the small, like, card shop tournament to form Q4, and, like, the slightly bigger tournament to even qualify for the Asia. So, like, I know that we're not going straight to the Asia Circuit, but it does still feel a little bit fast, considering how big a tournament it was in the original Vanguard. Like, in the original, again, it took them like 60 episodes to even start the Asia Circuit stuff. So, to be, like, introducing it already is a little bit too fast. And I do want to stress, this was a really good episode, and I really liked it. But yeah, I'm still kind of worried as to where this series is going to be going overall. I mean, again, I guess that's natural, you know, I love the original Vanguard, and so seeing them change it at all is something that I'm going to have a knee-jerk reaction to. And so far, a lot of the changes have been ones that I've enjoyed, it's just seeing how they play out in the long run is the thing. Because, like, next episode, Aichi's going to be fighting against Leon Soryu. And again, Leon Soryu wasn't introduced until the Asia Circuit arc, so yeah, I guess that's our big proof that the Asia Circuit arc really is happening. Like, we haven't even had like a full episode to focus on the Ultra Rare or anything yet, and we're already getting Leon Soryu. You know, like, we've barely introduced Q4, we've barely had any of the other characters, and we're already getting Leon Soryu. I don't know, it feels a little fast. Leon feels a little bit out of Aichi's league. We'll see though, because I imagine Aichi will probably lose against him. You know, they'll probably do the whole like, oh, Aichi loses against him, and now he knows what he has to work towards next. Because again, that's the thing, in the first 2 episodes he was working towards Kai, and then in episode 3, 4, and 5 he was working towards Morikawa, so I guess for the next kind of big section of the arc, we're going to be working towards Leon Soryu after Aichi loses against him, and then after that we're going to be working towards Ren, I imagine. Like, right? I guess, like, we have to be, right? We have to be working against Ren soon. So, yeah. I don't know, it's just, I liked this episode, and by the way, that's more or less everything I have to say about this episode. Like, whilst it was a really good episode, like, there's not too much to say about it. Again, solid setup, solid card fight, solid resolution. That seems to be the kind of, like, formula of this series so far. And it's more just a case of I'm worried about what they're going to be doing next. Again, we'll see. Again, that's the beauty of a series like this. It means that later on I can talk about this stuff. And like I said, from this point on, now that we're getting into like tournaments and stuff, I'm going to be very much jumping in and out. Don't get me wrong, I will still be talking about every episode in some capacity. Like, I'm still going to watch each episode as they air and take my notes down and everything. Like, write down my notes and stuff. But then it's just going to be a case of I'm going to record these less often. So when I do talk about episodes, I will be talking about everything we've missed. And don't worry, I'll definitely be back the second we get an ultra rare focused episode. And the second we just get enough episodes for it to be worth talking about for around about 20 minutes or so. But like, as you can tell, like I'm not very far through this one, and I'm already kind of struggling things to talk about. So what else do we have to talk about? I know that's the English dub, but I do still want to get back to that a little bit later, because there's so much to say about it. I don't want this video to be a full half an hour or anything. I guess one of my other problems is that characters seem to draw too many criticals. That doesn't sound right. You know, like, I mean, again, I can only claim to know so much about the actual real-life card game, but I'm fairly certain characters don't draw criticals this often. And I'm not even talking about this episode alone, I'm talking about, like, overall in this series. They are drawing double criticals for days. What other problems do I have? This episode started with 2 minutes of recap for some reason. Yeah, I hope that's not a thing. I really hope they don't go brains with this and just have a full-length recap episode every 12 eps, because that'll be ridiculous. I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt and say they're not gonna do that, but that would be ridiculous and unforgivable. But yeah, this episode started with 2 minutes of recap, and it wasn't even a very good 2 minutes of recap, because they literally just took a scene from the first episode and put it at the beginning of this episode without really editing it or anything. Like, it's not like they used multiple scenes or anything and cut between them quickly. No, they just had 2 minutes of the first episode and just put it in the beginning of this episode. And yeah, okay, sure. Why? I've already seen the first episode. Oh, but what about Japanese people that are turning on the TV for the first time? Fuck them. Honestly, if they can't be bothered watching the first episode, then they deserve to feel left out. Plus, this episode already did a good job without the recap, kind of reintroducing all the characters anyway. Like, this episode already gave us a very kind of big, like, look at Morikara and Aichi as characters and everything. So, like, there's not too much that they had to really set up or remind us of. So, a recap this early on isn't needed. Don't do that, please. Like, I get it, new people are joining all the time and everything, but you don't need to pander to the new people that are joining. Like, if they like this episode enough on its own, even without understanding it, then they will go back. It's fine. You don't need to worry about recaps. Stop it. Like, even a full-length recap episode kind of makes sense, because it's like, oh, the reason they do that is because they're out of budget and time and everything, not because they think that people, like, don't understand what's going on. So I get that. Although, I mean, I would prefer the show went on hiatus for a week and just showed, like, and just re-add an old episode or whatever. But, you know, like, recap episodes, not a big fan of them. Not exactly, I don't exactly think that's the most controversial opinion in the world. Yeah, other than that, there's not much to really say. Izaki was here, he was cool. He, you know, like, we got some of his character. Not much, but he got some stuff to do. That's cool. Izaki never really got that much to do in the original Vanguard, apart from that one episode of Link Joker, which is one of the best episodes of any anime ever, let alone Vanguard. That episode's fucking good. If you haven't seen the Link Joker episode that focuses on Izaki, you're missing out, because he is legitimately one of the best Vanguard characters ever, and like I mentioned, he only gets a single episode focusing on him, which is insane, and that's just how good Link Joker is. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna end it here, because not much else to really say, and that's why I'm gonna be skipping forward from now on. I will be using the time, of course, that I save from skipping forward to be working on other videos. So far, really liking this series, really like this episode. Interested to see where it goes, and yeah, I guess we'll be talking about Vanguard again in a little bit. So see ya. Stick around, and yeah.